Hi, welcome back to my series, A Path to Revenue. I'm James. I produce short-form interactive XR content, mostly science explainers in the form of holograms. Today, I wanted to slow things down and talk a little bit about parenthood and the way that that has rewired my brain for the types of work that I do. You might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with the path to revenue? And I assure you, it has a lot to do with what I can do in a day and what I can produce in a day. So I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And the first thing I'll say is that it has fundamentally rewired my relationship to time. First of all, I have to take nights and weekends and just throw those right out the window. So that time just isn't there anymore. Then, if we have a kid who's sent home from school, my wife and I both work, and we have to trade off. We have to do a shift on and a shift off all day long. And when I get an hour to sit down at my computer, that hour has to count. I mean, sometimes I'll put a giant timer on one of these screens for 60 minutes, and I have to blaze through an entire morning's worth of work in 1 hour. I mean, it really, really rewires your relationship to time. So the next point that I want to make is about management. And I think that this might be a controversial point, but I think that becoming a parent makes you a little bit better at managing teams. Now, I'm not trying to make some snarky point that managing a team of highly skilled people is like managing kids or something, because that would be ridiculous. But I think there is like a very small shift that happens when you become a parent that takes you in a more socially minded direction. And the example that I like to give is instead of saying like, do I have my sweater on? You're thinking more like, do we all have our sweaters on? Do we all have our snacks? Okay, let's go. It's very small, but I think it's valuable for managing a team. Okay, this next one is about management, but in a slightly different way. So there's a lot of value in management about, being able to connect with people where they are, their skill level, their interests, their using their metaphors, basically being able to step into their world and kind of understand where they're coming from. The thing about kids is they make you do that constantly. They make you think about that moment to moment in very fluid ways. So we're getting up to this part of the museum. How's everybody going to be doing their best possible thing in this area right here? And again, that's very, very valuable. This next one is about brain flexibility. I'm notoriously bad at multitasking. I really, really am. But if I'm driving through a complicated intersection, trying to do something complicated in an intersection in Los Angeles, and I have a toddler in the back seat screaming at me for the 5th time, why is it Thursday? I have to quickly figure out how to navigate these two different situations so I don't wind up in a car wreck. I truly believe that if you're putting in time as a parent, your brain is becoming more flexible at problem solving, and that's good for all different kinds of work. Anyway, I'm finding that I have a lot to say on this topic, the overlap between parenthood and how it sort of affects your ability to do work. So I'm going to split this off into a 2-part episode. If I'm saying things that are wrong, or if you have more examples to give on this topic, please do tell me about them in the comments. I really appreciate the feedback.